Okay, today's section 3.7, operations of functions. We are going to learn how to deal with functions. We're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We're also going to learn how to do compositions. Down here are the compositions. It's not too hard, and it is time consuming. I only gave you 6 problems because of the A, B, C, D. Okay, part 1, next screen. So, part 1, they're going to give you f of x equals 2x minus 2, g of x equals a negative 3x plus 4. We're going to find f plus g, f minus g, f times g, and f divided by g of 4. So, the first thing I'm going to do on all of these is I'm going to add first. So all I'm going to do is add these two functions together. So 2x minus 2 plus a negative 3x plus 4, which gives you, put similar terms together, and you're going to get a negative x plus 2. Once you are done with that, you're going to notice that there's no x, that there's a 4 right there. So in place of all of the x's, you're going to put a 4. So a negative 4 plus 2 will give you a negative 2 for your final answer. Now you're going to do it again. You're going to find f minus g of 4. The first thing you're going to do is simplify f minus g. So I'm going to put down 2x minus 2. Okay, now you're subtracting your g. So when you subtract your g, you're going to change them to their opposites. So it's going to end up being a positive 3x minus 4, which simplifies to 2x plus 3x is 5x minus 6. But you're not done, because now you need to plug the 4 in for x. 5 times 4, I'm going to just make my little arrow down here so you know that in place of my x, I'm going to put a 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 6 is 14. Okay, now I'm going to multiply f times g. And when I multiply f times g, I'm going to write down 2x minus 2 times negative 3x plus 4. And I'm going to solve by using the FOIL method. 2x times a negative 3x is a negative 6x squared. This makes a positive 6x. This makes a positive 8x, which gives you a positive 14x minus 8. Okay, now that that is done, you need to plug 4 into the problem. So when you plug 4 into the problem, 4 squared is 16, and 16 times a negative 6 is a negative 96, plus 14 times 4 is 56, minus 8, which gives you a negative 48. Okay, the last one. We are dividing f divided by g. I'm going to put it down here. F is 2x minus 2. G is a negative 3x plus 4. Now you're going to plug your 4 in. Substitute. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. A negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. And a negative 12 plus 4 is a negative 8, which simplifies to 2 goes into both of those, a negative 3/4. This is part 1. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, solving for x, and then once you solve for x, you substitute the values in. Okay, the next section. Part 2. Do you notice in part 2, you're doing pretty much the same thing. You're adding, you're subtracting, you're multiplying, and you're dividing, but do you notice that there's no number, that there's an x instead of a number? So instead of replacing it, you're just going to do the first step. You're only going to add, then you're going to subtract, multiply, and divide. So let's add x plus 4 plus 2x minus 3, which gives you 3x plus 1. Final answer. You do not have to plug the number in anymore. You just have to leave it in terms of x because you don't have a number. Next one. We're going to subtract now. X plus 4, change them to their opposite, negative 2x plus 3, which gives you negative x plus 7. You are done. You do not have to plug a number in. Next problem. X plus 4 times 2x minus 3. It'll give you 2x times x is 2x squared. 8x, take away 3x, is 5x, minus 12. Final answer. And the last one. X plus 4 over 2x minus 3. You cannot simplify that. You just leave it alone. Okay, now the new thing. They want you to find the domain of A, B, and C. The reason they want you to find the domain of A, B, and C is because they have the same domain. And then they want you to find the domain of D because that's a completely different problem. So basically, this is what you are thinking. In A, what type of a shape do you make? Don't you make a line? Isn't the domain of every line a negative infinity to a positive infinity? In B, don't you also make a line? Isn't that also a negative infinity to a positive infinity? And isn't the last one, aren't you making a parabola? So they're asking you, what is the domain of A, B, and C? Isn't the domain a negative infinity to a positive infinity? Okay, the last one. The last one has a different domain. We've already talked about this in another section. The reason it has a different domain is because it has a restriction. You can never have 0 in the denominator in math. So, in a different section, we learned to set the denominator equal to 0 to figure out when it turns out to be 0. 2x equals 3, x equals 3 halves. When x equals 3 halves is when the denominator is undefined. So, what is the domain of a fraction? It's everything from a negative infinity to a positive infinity. All of the x's work except at x equals 3 halves. That's the only spot where you would get 0 in the denominator. Okay, next part. Now we're going to learn how to do fog, gop, fop, and gog. These are called compositions. Do you see the difference between add, subtract, multiply, divide? This is not a multiplication sign. This is a circle. Circle stands for compositions. We did this in Algebra 2, but this is what you want to look at. You want to look at it as f of g of the x. The book will write it like this, though. You can rewrite it like this if you want to. Basically, what are compositions? Compositions is when you put one equation into another equation. So, this is how you do this. You work from the inside out. The inside is g of x, which is 2x minus 7. You are going to put all of that into, you're going to take all of this and put it in for x. because you have to do g of x, whatever g of x needs to go in for x. So now it's going to look like 2x minus 7 raised to the second power plus 1. Everybody see what I did? I took all of g of x and put it in for x. Now I have to wonderfully write this all out and simplify it. I'm going to get final answer 4x squared. This makes a negative 14x. This also makes a negative 14x, which gives you a negative 28x. A negative times a negative equals a positive 49 plus 1 will give you a positive 50. Final answer. Okay, now we're going to do GOF. If you don't like seeing GOF, I like writing it as g of f of x. What does that mean? It means from the inside out, you need to figure out what f of x is. What is f of x? F of x, I'm going to circle it in red. F of x is x squared plus 1. Where does all of that go? All of that has to go in place of the x in the second one, in the g of x. So this is what it looks like. 2 parentheses, in place of x, I'm going to put x plus 1 minus 7. Now I'm just going to simplify this, do the distributive property. I'm going to get 2x squared plus 2 minus 7 minus 5. Final answer. Okay, now I'm going to do FOP. F of x. F of x. So how do I do that? It's really weird, but you have to take f of x and plug it into itself. Take f of x and plug it into itself. So this is what you do. F of x is x squared plus 1, isn't it? So in place of x, you're going to put x squared plus 1, square that, plus 1. And then you have to sit and FOIL it. X squared plus 1 times x squared plus 1 plus 1. Final answer is x to the 4th plus 1x squared and another 1x squared gives you 2x squared. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, GOG is g of x. G of x is you take 2x minus 7 and put it into itself. So it's going to look like this. You're going to put a 2. In the place of x, you're going to put 2x minus 7, which ends up being 4x minus 21. 2 times 2x is 4x, minus 14 minus 7 will give you 21. Okay, now, instead of x's, we do f of g of 2. I'm going to show you 2 different ways how to do f of g of 2. Okay, here's the first way. All you do is go back up into your equation, and you find what g of 2 is. What is g of 2? All you do is you go all the way back up there and see what g of 2 is. So here's g. If you plug 2 in there, isn't 2 times 2 4? And doesn't 4 minus 7 give you a negative 3? So doesn't g of 2 equal a negative 3? And I'm going to cross that out because I plugged in place of g of 2. I got a negative 3. Now I need to find f of a negative 3. I'm going to go back up into there, all the way back up on the top, and in place of x, I'm going to plug a negative 3 in for the f of x. What's a negative 3 squared? 9 plus 1 is 10 is your final answer. Okay, here's the other way you could have done this. I could have went back into the equation of fog. Where's the equation of fog? It's A. Isn't A fog? I could have plugged in place, I could have plugged a 2 in for all of these. I could have put a 2 in, whoops, not that one. I could have plugged a 2 in for all of these x's, and I would have gotten the same answer. You don't have to do it that way, though. You can just plug it in. So let's do it again. I'm going to do GOG of a negative 1. I'm going to do G of g of a negative 1. Again, I could go back under D and do it. I'm going to show you that I could go back into D. Let's go back into D, and D's final equation was 4x minus 21. I can go back into D, and in place of x, I could plug a negative 1 in. 4 times a negative 1 is a negative 4, and a negative 4 minus 21 is a negative 25. I could plug it back into D, or I could just go back up into the top and do g of a negative 1, g of a negative 1. I'm going back up here, and I'm going to go 2 times a negative 1 minus 7. 2 times a negative 1 is a negative 2 minus 7 will give you a negative 9. So now this is no longer here anymore, and I'm going to do a negative 9. I'm going to go back up there and go do g of a negative 9. Over here, I'm going to go 2 times a negative 9 minus 7. What's 2 times a negative 9? Negative 18 minus 7 will give you also negative 25. Either way will give you the right answer. Okay, last part. Last part. 2 functions are given. Okay, one function is in t, the other one's in x. They are functions because instead of x's and y's, functions look with x's and f of x. Okay, this book does not write the charts vertically. They write the charts horizontally. So, I'm going to circle this. These are your x's, and these are your y's. Again, these are your x's, and these are your y's. You're going to read your graph always going down. You're going to read your graph always going down. Okay, ready to go? You got to listen really carefully and follow along. We're going to do toss of 1. What does this look like? It looks like t of s of 1. Okay, we're going to work from the inside out. We have no equations. We only have a chart. You're going to find s of 1. You're going to look under the s chart, and you're going to read up to down. You're going to start up and read down, and you're going to figure out what s of 1 is. Well, here, I'm going to circle it in red. Here's s of 1, and I'm going to read it down. S of 1 stands for 0. And I'm going to cross it out because I found out that s of 1 is 0. Now I'm going to use green, and now I need to find t of 0. Now I'm going to go up into the top chart and find t of 0. Well, here's 0, and you always go down. T of 0 is equal to 2 is the final answer. Okay, I'm going to erase these. Maybe I shouldn't have erased those. I'm going to put those back up there. I'll put those back up there. I'll put this back in green. Sorry about this. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do tot of 1. We're going to do t of 1. T of 1. We're only looking under the t's, and we're going to do t of 1. I'm going to do t of 1 in black. So what is t of 1? I'm going to circle t of 1, and I'm going to arrow down. T of 1 is 3. I'm going to cancel it out and put 3. Now I'm going to do t of 3, and I'm going to find t of 3 again and arrow down. Answers 0. Okay, 2 more problems. T of s of 4. T of s of 4. The first thing I'm going to do is find s of 4. I'm going to go under my s chart. I see that s of 4 stands for what? 5. So I'm going to cross this out and put 5. Now I'm going to find t of 5. If you look up there on my t's, there is no t of 5. There's one on the top, but it doesn't go far enough over. You always work up to down, so there is no t of 5. There is no solution for this problem. My chart doesn't go far enough out to figure out what the solution is. Okay, the last one. S of t of 1. S of t of 1. Let's see if we can do this a little quicker. T of 1. What is t of 1? t of 1 is 3. Now you have to do s of 3. S of 3 is equal to 2. Okay, what is the assignment? The assignment is problems 1, 3, 9, 13, 17, and 37. There's a lot of parts to it, and now you got it explained to you, so now you should be able to sit down and work these out.